Welcome to another episode of Peaked. My name is Frank Castillo, my lovely co-host JP Noda, and today's guest, one of my favorites, Henry Zebrowski.
Dude, so good to be here, man.
Dude, I'm so excited to have you. It was great. We met at the night I won Roast Battle.
Yes, that was crazy. That was a fun party, dude.
But that was also crazy because me and my wife were big fans of you before.
Oh yeah, and that was such a funny experience because I'm not like in the store world, right? Like, so I know Jeff Ross, and I know some people like in and out of the world. But it was so that point I was just like a wallflower sitting there, and it was so nice. I was like, oh yes, you know the content,
dude. It was so funny because you were like, we and my wife were just walking there. And I remember we were at the after party, and it was so funny because I remember being there, and it was like all for like me, but I was just kind of like, there's nowhere else I'd rather be than just back at the store, like in the back alley smoking weed. And right when I said that, we saw you walk by, and we were just like, holy shit! And then and then you were like, holy shit! And then we've been to your shows. You know,
it's really nice, man. It's nice to start to like, because I really feel like I've only been living in LA now it's like 5 years, but I feel like I have not like done anything here. As I've either been on tour or running around doing stuff. It's like now I'm like starting to like hang out with people and do shit again. Which is
it's also different too because you had a different path. Because I remember, just being at the store, I love that you said this, and I respected it a lot. Because I was talking about you coming and hang out at the store or doing a show there, and they're like, this place is so like, I just want to make sure I'm not stepping on anyone's toes.
Oh yeah,
and it's like there's so many people who would not do that.
Because to be honest, partially is that because I come from the world of sketch comedy, which is like the least fuckable like form of comedy, like that is the only place that you could be a sketch comedian and get laid is Chicago, and I think it's just because it's cold, and a lot of times it's just big men, and they're just like, I'll just slide into the folds of this man for the night, and it's fine. If you can still pull butt with a duffel bag filled with like wigs and dildos and stuff, like it's special. It's special, and like, you didn't make money that night. But I feel like that at a place like the store because we were sketch comedians in the world of stand-up. Like my original sketch group, Murder Fist, like we used to get booked a lot, I think, because we were 11 people and we were an instant audience at a bar show.
Yeah.
So you book us. We just hang out because we're just looking for friends. And so it was nice to be like supported by this stand-up community. But just the idea of just like showing up at the store, that place is very intimidating. It's very like, it's the halls of that type of comedy. And I don't lightly traipse in that world because I don't want people to fucking make fun of me. If I'm going there, I better be tight. I have to be really, really good. And so, Classy Night Out is a show I run with Ed Larson, who's way more of a seasoned stand-up than I am, and he's kind of like helping me get into the flow. But one day I'll get up.
I love it, dude. The other thing too is I didn't. It was because of Your Pretty Face Goes to Hell, right? This is the show yet? One of my favorite shows, but that also introduced me into Eddie Pepitone, who is now a paid regular at the store. And listen, Eddie Pepitone, I've had to follow him a few times. That is one of my favorite people to follow. He's so fucking funny.
He's the best.
Destroys that crowd.
And his anger is real.
It's so fucking funny.
I once watched him. We were at a restaurant in Atlanta and during Pretty Face, and the woman came, and he was very sweet, but we walked in, so he's vegetarian / vegan. Yeah. I don't know what he is. I've seen him sneak, though. Yeah. Like, I've seen him cheat.
Which is crazy because he looks like a meatball.
He is the least healthy vegetarian of any man. I think he's eating slugs. Yeah. I don't know what he's eating. But we went out to a restaurant and the waitress did the thing. She was like, this is a seasonal adventure. This is called a wintertime pastoral menu. And he was like, take me to the summer. Like he did this. He eviscerated this woman. It was hilarious. And until afterwards, when she left, and he's just like, these fucking people. And I was like, oh wow, you're really mad. Like you're genuinely upset. Dude. But he's one of my fucking, because I found him through Dave Willis because of Pretty Face. Same thing. It was like I met him on set, and it wasn't until after that I understood, because I'd always heard, because he used to do weeks at the Creek in New York. He used to come in, blow up the place, and leave. And so then watching him, like, I don't know, just watching him in person, it's hilarious. He's also just a hilarious actor.
He's such a funny actor.
Did you ever see his old shit?
No.
There is a clip of him. He played like a young junkie right? Like in some weird like 1980s New York movie that has never like seen the light of day. And he looks exactly the same, but he is 30 years old. And he has been, but him just been like, yeah, give me the money. And it was amazing. He's a great creep.
Dude, I love it. Yeah, he's so funny. It's a thoroughly enjoyable to watch people in the audience just like have to like understand or be on board fully. Like just watching those people go through that journey of his set is the best.
That he was doing for his special. We're like, me and my father, we used to go to the dock and wave at the boats. Like he was like, it just makes no sense because technically it's just, but there's something about his rage that shows that whatever nonsense he's spewing has led to this ranting man yelling. He's just this man who's just sometimes ruining your night.
It is an absolute blast. All right, let's get into this. Are you used to dabs? How familiar are you with this?
I don't do dabs a lot. I mostly smoke bongs and bowls and joints because a lot of times I'm like, I don't need to get like that higher than I normally get, but I'm down. I've done them. I did what it was one time. I went to the first. It was the first time I went to Cannabis Cup. I went and it was the first time I'd seen dabs.
Oh, okay.
And they did this thing. There was like $10 per dab. If you can pull the whole thing, you get your money back. So me and my two buddies,
how bad do you want your $10 back?
I just was like, all right. So fucking he took it. I took it, right? Like, we did as much as we can. Then my other buddy did it, and then he just passed out like hard. This is the middle of the daytime summer heat. He passed out hard. Me and my buddy were both like cryptically high, like in the San Bernardino emergency room, like with him, just like while Guy was just going, my fucking guts, like the whole time. But we were high the entire time. It was kind of beautiful.
Was it the High Times Cannabis Cup in San Bernardino? Yes. It's the second time. This is the second episode that we've had a story of someone being way too high at that cup.
Because, that was the thing is that my buddy, we felt so bad, but he was like twitching and shit. Like he was really all like.
It was a free for all back then.
He was fucked up. But the EMT looked at him because we're all like, is our fucking buddy dying, man? Is he dying? And the EMT just like lifted his lids. He's like, he's just super fucking high. Like he was the saddest thing. He was like, we'll put a drip on him or whatever. And then it was intense. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna get you that high. So a little bit different than what you were doing before.
Yeah, I've never used these machines.
So you were probably doing wax. But this here is rosin. Do you want to give them a brief little explainer while I'm?
So I mean, what they do is they would make hash and then turn that hash into rosin by squeezing it with high pressure and low heat.
Cool.
So they're actually basically like almost like if you're like having a fresh pressed juice. A lot of people liken it to.
It smells like
we're just going to be kind of like the cleanest form of it.
That's interesting because I've now been because. For last podcast and left, we've been trying to work on we wanted to sell flower, and the big things. I went to a weed conference, which was one of the best afternoons of my fucking life because I got to just go walk and like get samples. I got something like $700 worth of weed. It was fucking awesome, but it was all the diamond stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's crack.
Yeah.
The way he was trying to describe, they were like, no, it's a distillate of the thing. I was like. That's called crack cocaine. But it's for weed, and I'll take it. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine with me.
Oh, my God.
It's powerful. It does last all day.
All right. So this is the new Proxy, but we also have the Droplet attachment. It's a sweet bubbler attached to this.
It's great. They all just, these all just look, they're like, fuck my mouth. What is this? So do I just suck?
And then you can rotate this, and it'll give you a better... airflow, so you'll be able to hit it a little better.
What? All right, so I just pull it.
Yeah, you can start now, and then rotate the thing on top.
That's so funny.
This one's gonna be
playing with a fucking butthole.
This one's the papaya drip. It's a papaya and strawberry banana. So it's gonna be that kind of like super funky, sweet stone fruit, kind of mango-y papaya flavor up front. But then it has a kind of very creamy and sweet exhale, and that's going to be that strawberry banana in there.
Seriously, dog? I'm getting into the taste a lot more. Because I do that, now I do, especially during quarantine, I got full, like, stoner nerded out. So now, I got my grind set out. I get it all, like, I have the hemp wick and stuff. I look like... like I'm doing witchcraft, which is honestly where I want to be.
Yeah.
For the most part, but it's nice because now I can really taste the flavors.
And it's like if you're spending tons of money on weed, like my argument is like you want to taste it and have the best experience with that weed you can.
Do I pull the whole thing?
You can if you want.
If you want to, you don't have to.
I think I did good. I think I'll maybe stoned as fuck.
I
But it's interesting because it's crazy what the science has done to this shit.
But also this too, since it's an electronic dab rig, you really get to taste the hash a lot better. Especially
That's that papaya.
so he actually works at a dispensary, so this is kind of like his job. He's a buyer, so he's really good at breaking stuff down.
That's really I feel like this is like people hit me with this question all the time about weed. Where like, I think we're kind of all catching up to the scam that is being a sommelier. Right, like we know it's a scam. We know that it's a whole wine grape, the big grape is running this thing. I don't know why. Like you got the guy with the little saucer. He shows up. You spit the wine out. It's dumb shit. You know what I mean? It's really dumb. You don't it's not like one wine gets you more drunk than another. But like, how do you do that? Like I do now know there are things that are taste. So it's like I'll grind it up and then I'll stick my fucking hog nose up in there, right? And I get all like the different layers of smells. But how else do you identify tastes as you're smoking?
So that's the biggest thing is the smells are also kind of different from wine, where a lot of wines all kind of necessarily have the same effect where you get drunk off of them.
Yeah, sure.
I might argue. With cannabis, the terpenes of the smell and the flavor are going to be what direct the high. So like things that are more citrusy usually have more sativa effects, than more euphoric and more uplifting.
Oh, that's why. Because I like when my Jack Herrera smells like gasoline.
Yeah, so that could be even that and the pepperiness of it, or like super liminess of it, makes it super uplifting and super kind of euphoric and like more clear-headed. Where a lot of indicas will have a terpene kind of either called myrcene, which is found in mangoes, or like linalool, which is found in lavender.
Interesting.
Which when you smell lavender, it's usually a calming, soothing smell. So you're basically ingesting that terpene, which gives that effect to the weed.
I got a family member that's he does like synthetic smells and tastes, and he does really kind of talk about the feelings that come about, and they talk about that, which actually is kind of insidious almost in a way, because like Yankee Candle has like a deep, long talk every day of being like, is this fresh laundry going to remind these people of their Nona or not? Yeah. Like, is this shit going to tear apart? I need this to make someone cry thinking about a funeral. Like, that's like weird. They could just do that through your nose.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's all about like getting the sensory, you know what I mean? Those memories that you have, like a smell will like unlock those memories again.
Oh yeah, I think about certain perfumes.
Yeah.
Certain perfumes do that. Obviously, some delicious Italian food.
Yeah.
I'll just talk about smells.
I think it's fucked up about perfumes. Actually, my current girlfriend's mom wears the same perfume as an ex-girlfriend I had in high school.
That's like OG sexual feelings.
Every time I told her, I'm like,
Yo, I love your mom, dog. You know, she's a sweet lady.
Your mom just, it's just something about her makes me feel vulnerable. Like that is very that's a lot.
Familiar.
Are you allowed to say like, hey, when we visit for Christmas, can you change it up? Or do you get cross horny? Do you get cross horny?
the only chance is what you got.
That's fascinating. But then how do you distinguish like woody tones? Does it get like that, or you just say like it's a fruit smell like
Usually
this? I like
a lot of like weed and a lot of stuff, since it is all like bred from very similar strains, especially the stuff that's popular at the time. A lot of them are very similar kind of genetics.
Yeah, because a lot of people like the high-powered sativas. You got that shit. Technically, like I tried Seth Rogen's weed, and that was like I'm not a moon rocks scare me.
Yeah,
right.
So-
like moon rocks make me like
A lot of that is like whenever you run into stuff like that, it's a lot of frills to make bad weeds seem better.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And like he was saying with the strains and stuff, certain strains get bred into popular ones to whether it be because of yield or structure or just the look or the shape. So that tends to like move trends and stuff. Like, I don't know.
because we like the look of certain nugs,
Yeah.
right? Like you like pull it out, and it is because I was like, oh fucking look at this Atlantis toe, right? Like you excited that big long one looked like a Christmas tree, but then like sometimes you break it apart and it's all garbage.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what they do. They just make them all fluffed up.
Well, it also depends. There's different things like there's different things that cause weed to turn colors, or it could be like stress. So like
Well,
It is
yeah, because they
common that,
keep trying to pitch us on the purple weed.
Yeah, and a
but
lot of
every
times-
purple weed I've had is not very good.
So usually too, a lot of purples aren't usually high testing in THC. They're more like very physical, relaxing, and more sedating strains.
Yeah.
For me, a lot of times, like the old GDPs and stuff, my biggest thing is they'd always like have me munching like crazy, like almost uncontrollable munchies.
Oh yeah.
Which is super common in that I found. But yeah, those are also because they're so low testing, like they're kind of gone now. People stop producing them because they're not as popular in the market.
Well, that's the thing. I was reading an article about that. This is the type of shit that's insane. Is how, like, the Wall Streeting kind of effect that comes, like, literal market research, like articles coming out about like THC levels, like mixed with all the shit. And I was reading this thing that was basically saying that about like they were basically fooling people with higher THC levels.
A lot of it is, you know, how long have you been smoking weed?
Since I was 17.
So we were smoking weed when
It's
it was
better now. It's obviously much better now.
100%.
So we were smoking weed when it was illegal, and then there's now people who are joining who are only smoking weed because it is legal.
Which honestly is great.
Yeah.
You know, it opens it up. My mom fucking loves edibles.
But
it changed her whole fucking attitude.
Same thing with my family too. But there's also the thing of like now you're starting to see the mainstream marketing and stuff because there is still such a big miseducation of Lauryn Hill. No, there's still a miseducation of everybody in the regular scene that doesn't know a lot about weed, and that's a thing that is happening. Is people are marketing weed as like higher percentage, like that is a thing that drives sales. When in reality, if you know about weed, it doesn't always do that.
But I did, man, it was funny because we were talking right before the show about like new tech and weed and everyone's trying to catch up. And it was like, I brought one of those diamond joints because now all the weeds got the diamonds in. It was basically, which is weed crack.
Yeah.
It's hilarious that they do it. They call it a distillate.
Have you heard of hash holes?
Hash holes?
So there's still a very big underground scene, and like still some of the best weed is weed you get from a guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's people like
There's still
friends I
people-
have in Humboldt
Yeah,
that
they're
are like
still growing weed a little
Yeah,
bit.
and it's delicious.
It's small
And
batch.
it's-
You know what I mean?
small batch, but
Less
it's still great.
variable.
And also, I think those people should still be allowed to do. You know what I mean?
It's just stuff that was like kissed by a shaman.
Uh-huh,
1,000
yeah.
The first seeds were like
Yeah.
he pushed them in. He pushed each one deeply in. They were like, "Well, thank you, guys."
This was Jesus's weed guy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. That 13th apostle. Damn it! What was I just saying? I'm so ripped.
Oh fuck, dude. This is hard, man. You're the host. This is live. I don't have to direct this conversation. Wait, what? I don't know, sir.
No, well, we're talking about the education.
Hash holes.
Yeah,
Oh, the hash holes.
There you go.
So now the thing is, see, they'll do this rosin and they'll roll it, but it'll be like fresh pressed. So it's like right when they press it and stuff, they'll like roll it into like a
That's
long.
farm fresh. It's like me and my pop used to go to the Yodel store. Like what was it? What was it does Yodels? It's Little Debbie.
Yeah.
Right? We went to a fresh one. They have one in New
Like a
York
factory?
where
Like
where
when
they
they're, like, just
squirt
making
them out like little poops,
fire.
like right out of the fucking factory, and they goes right. They're like warm. You
Yeah.
see like condensation inside of the little like bags. I mean, it's fresh preservatives.
Yeah. So exactly like a little Debbie, just nice little turd right in the middle of some fresh flour.
Yum.
Delicious. And they'll roll it so when it burns, it literally a hole in the middle starts to go down. It looks like a donut. Yeah. Yeah. Some people think you're just lighting money on fire,
Yeah,
but
of
it is
course.
like
I mean,
it does feel great.
Well, that's the thing is that that's what brings like THC closer to almost a hallucinogenic, right? Like that style where like if you smoke that hard, you become a cactus.
Yeah.
You know, which is what you're looking for. I mean, you're not gonna. Hopefully, you don't have to give like a State of the Union address at your company like later on. But like, it's a lot in one go. Like, because I know I definitely get when I'm alone, I get very weed stingy. Like, I'll smoke. What I do is I pack like little bowls, but I'll smoke like 20 of them. Right, where like,
okay.
but I'm like, look at me, just say, I scrape. I have my little like setup where I scrape it because I don't like wasting the money when I smoke weed. But every once in a while, man.
No, I used to be very like conservative now, but now I think I've turned into an absolute monster.
Well, it's so different. It's hard not to.
I mean, I bought a full ounce of rosin because I was able to, and that shit, I thought it was going to last me longer than less than a month. But man, I was dabbing everyone out. I was rolling
22
hash
days.
holes, dog.
I want to do one of these hash holes.
All right, dog. Yeah, we'll
That's
make it
kind of
happen.
crazy. Yeah, that's fun as hell. But you know, I guess we live in this spot Weed is plentiful, and it seemed, especially because you guys work with these companies, you do the stuff like same thing, working anything in conjunction with weed. They just throw weed at you. I remember sitting, it's like me and Ed Larson. I had this like fucking sack of weed from Humboldt, and I sat and I thought, I was like, well, we're almost 40. It's like Ed is 40. And I was like, if we were 25 years old and we saw this in our hands, we would have wept. We would have been like, but it was like, we got it for free. We're just flinging it around. Like, especially during quarantine, we got into the mode where everybody got their own joint. Oh. Because we stopped sharing joints, and now it's become like, it's a habit where everyone's been like, no, this is my joint.
I can admit this now. So I got laid off at the store. Like, not laid off, furloughed because of the quarantine, right?
True.
So we all got an unemployment, and the store was also still paying us because they just took care of us afterwards.
That's really very sweet. That's awesome.
It was fucking insane. I had so much money, and it was not good. And my wife was still, and she was she's a therapist, so her work like blew up.
Oh, yeah.
So
my therapist was crying and shit. She had mental breakdowns during quarantine because she got a lot of clients in one go.
It was insane. So, but I just remember being there and like, I went to Jungle Boys and I literally blew like $600, $700 in a go. Just
it's hard not to.
It was bad.
We just did a little trip to Vegas, and I just spent like $300 at the weed store before going because I can. And it's all there.
And they sell weed there.
I'm not over it. I'm not over it. I still have the feeling of a fresh, perfect boy when I go into the weed store and I see that it's all legal and you can ask stuff. Because my problem is it's still, like, up to recently, I was just like, I'll say, like, can I get a 50 bag? Like, I used to still say that, like, and I had to change and be like, no, may I get the 3 grams? Like, I tried it now because I don't even know the grams, to be frank.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's past. That's European.
That was the only math I learned. I failed mathematics, but I could tell you how many eighths were in a thing.
No, I just still think about it being, in my mind, I picture the eighth from the little bag that I used to get from the man, and then I just kind of measure that out.
I had a joke earlier. I was like,
I was bad at math, man.
The way the dispensaries are, I was like, the only dispensary that make me feel comfortable is one that looked like someone's living room.
Yeah, I like it. We were in Amsterdam, and it's like that, where all of those like actual cafes, they do look like some dude's house.
That's sick.
It's awesome, and they are, and it's full of Americans.
Oh yeah,
man.
I'm going to Barcelona for the Cannabis. They have a festival, and then so it's like. I mean, I've never been, but it's like, what is it? Just the best, like all the best growers and everything.
Yeah, I think essentially. I mean, I haven't been either. I think essentially like a weed con.
Damn, dude, that's gonna be fun as hell. It's gonna be hard eating pulpo when you're that stoned.
What is that?
That fucking octopus.
Thinking about it too much.
They have octopus?
Yeah, they've slapped it.
Spain has the best seafood.
Whoa, do
Some
they?
of the best seafood.
You got the mussels, man. That's gonna be good. You got to try to get that Iberico ham, dude.
My dad was like, "Is your wife going?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Oh, that sucks." I was like, "Why?" He was like, "You got to be careful, man. There's Spanish women out there." I was like,
Well,
I was like, "Motherfucker, you've never been to Spain." He was like, "No, but I've heard about them." And I was like, "You are the worst, dude."
You'd be real surprised just how not interested. They are. It's really sad almost.
Of course, I was like, "Bro, look at me. You think they're into like the version that went to America?"
Yeah. Also, like, weed makes me horny up to a point. So honestly, nothing will make me as sexless as possible as hitting this like all day and me just being like, can you even trying to speak to a beautiful Catalonian woman? And you just go like, you're different than your dad. You're different, and then all of a sudden he just walks away from you, or she steals your money. She just like goes through. She leaves you stranded in Barcelona very easily. Yes.
I get home like, good news, guys. I did not cheat on my wife. Bad news is I only have my shoes on.
Yeah, I don't know how I got to the airport.
Hilarious. No, it's gonna be an interesting trip. I'm excited. I'm gonna do some comedy out there.
That's cool. I wonder how because we do. We've done shows obviously in the UK for last podcast on the left, and we've done shows in now Amsterdam and Berlin and Stockholm, and they all got, but we have not tried, dude, because I wonder like how it's going to translate.
Well, they have English speaking audiences.
Oh yeah, of course. I just mean like references.
Oh yeah, that's my point.
We just had to do it on our European leg, was like go through the show and just being like, all of this is just American horseshit. This is all like American, like, there's like, Kissel does something about Scott Van Pelt, you know what I mean? Who, it's like, just shit. I was like, they don't care.
No.
They don't know what this is.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting seeing how acts travel.
Yeah. Because then we realized, like, actually, then a lot of times they know our politics, like, way better than we are. I thought like a block of cheese was the mayor of Stockholm. They don't even have a mayor. I don't know what it's called. It's called like
They're
a
on
chaplain constable.
different kind of government.
Yeah, he's like an archduke.
Yeah.
And then you don't know what so that's the problem. And they know everything.
Yeah.
About all of our shit. They know how a bill is made. They know how, because of that song, Insidia, again, another song, just propaganda, American propaganda. But then, they know so much more about our shit than we'll ever know about theirs.
Oh, absolutely.
They measure things in hectares.
Yeah, I remember growing up as a kid.
I think.
You find out there was like, we're on our own kind of system of like measurement.
We're really just sticking it out here, man.
Yeah, we're really just trying.
Yeah, we're like, it's an inch. All right? It's an inch. Oh, a centimeter? Well, that's dumb. We made ours like a third bigger. That's an inch. That's it, and we're stuck in this.
Oh, yeah.
Choices of George Washington.
So fun. What's our next flavor?
This one's going to be the apple tarts from the homies over at Ember Valley. That first one was from our good homies over at Bloomfields. This one's from Ember Valley. It's apple tarts. It's apple fritter times runs. Go for it.
No, please. I didn't know. That's not the candy. That's nerds.
Yeah. The strain apple fritter times runs.
Do I tickle this one's butthole as well?
Now you're good.
I just press and suck?
Put it on top of that, yeah.
Just finger hold or dip in?
No,
You
you
can
can
tap
just- yeah,
a little
you
bit,
can
yeah.
just- yeah,
Same
go
thing,
on.
they'll let the air flow. So the first you'll taste that apple fritter, really, it's going to be kind of that sour apple kind of smell and flavor, but then it's going to immediately be taken over by the funk from that animal cookies that's in there. As you exhale, you'll get more funk from the runts, but then a little bit of candy, kind of sweet finish from the runts. But it's really going to be tons of animal cookies, kind of cookies funk gas, finished up with some sweetness from that runs.
I don't know if I'm just tasting it because you're saying it, but I'm
It's delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the magic of JP. I didn't bring it, but
That's why you have a fucking sommelier.
Yeah.
That's like why you have it. So the guy can come and he can say all the notes. And you're like, man, that was the trip I was just on, dude.
yeah. Oh, well, he also likes to explain it like you would the homie hanging out in the back smoking weed for the first time.
Most
you know?
relatable way
Honestly,
possible.
It's nice. That's how stoned I am. I forgot the microphone. It's nice to know that you know. You know what I mean? Because you really can talk somebody through. I think that a part of this is talking people through the anxiety of smoking for the first time. You know, like, because if you are, because I don't like you gotta fucking smoke weed, man. But it's nice to have somebody, like a comforting sound saying, that could be bus stop gibberish, right? Like, but he's obviously has a full accredited, like he's got a whole past in it, and it helps people understand.
And I feel like, I also feel like with hash especially, it takes like the intensity off of it. You know what I mean? Where it was like, we're going to smoke hash, we're doing concentrates, and you're just like, oh shit.
This is actually this is surprisingly, because obviously I'm high as balls, but I don't feel like I do, because we used to do, there used to be a show run by Nick Turner in New York called the Midnight Express, and what it was a show. We used to close the doors to whatever venue it was in, and then we would do the show as high as possible. Like, we would go, everybody would get high before the show and come out, and it was like super funny to like watch, quote unquote super funny.
Yeah.
To watch comedians bomb like innerly, like on weed on stage. And the problem was that it was very low energy because again, it's midnight. Midnight run. It was midnight, and the whole thing was just like everybody's like falling asleep and then scared. Like, this doesn't make me scared, which is nice.
Yeah. It's not terrifying.
I don't
Very
feel
experience.
like I'm on the front of the Kumba at Busch Gardens.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Which I could. I could feel like that. I'm glad I don't, bro. Fucking, I'm glad, man. I'm not freaking out.
Well, also, like, anytime someone busts a torch out and you're not, like, into that, it is intimidating.
What, like, dude. When the guy shows up with the welding, like, material, that's when everybody gets very nervous.
Yeah.
I did one time have it with just must be what that was, where he literally put a charge to a bowl like that. It was a dab, but he used electric current to cook it. It must be what that was, but that was just a guy's like jerry-rigged version of it.
Oh yeah, so there's like a bunch of other different stuff who we won't mention on this podcast, but no.
Oh yeah, you're talking about no. We don't want to talk about
I'm just
other
kidding.
technology.
I'm just kidding. No, but they have like there was someone calls it a terp sous vide. It's literally like
What?
it's so big though. It's like
You gotta be
you
such
plug it
something
in
else, man, to
and
have
you
a full like
dude
a thing the size of a vacuum in your own.
you plug it in, you put it on, and then you got to have like a thing to like make sure it's at the right, so you could set it down. But it's basically a cylinder that goes all the way up, and the whole thing's I think ceramic, and it shoots up hot air, so it heats whatever banger you have and keeps it at a certain temperature. But it's literally like someone's holding a hairdryer up. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're like, oh, like this all is just hot.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like I microwaved a vase.
Yeah, it was-
and
yeah.
now we're all just like waiting. And then how do you suck out of it?
So you heat it up, and then you pull it out, and then you hit it, and then you put it back, so that it's ready whenever you want.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, right?
That's a lot going on. You know what I mean?
I got cats. I got things that will knock things over.
Because then I'm stoned, and then I destroy this thing. You know, because I'm gonna if it's that big, I gestate. I use my hands.
Or you
when-
gestated?
I'm gonna gestate. I use my hands when I speak.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I'm going to just fucking destroy that thing
Yeah.
immediately.
100%.
But it's kind of like the guys back in the day. Did you have a volcano?
I had a volcano.
Didn't have one, but I smoked out of plenty.
Yeah.
It
It
just was so... There's no reason.
was a lot of things,
It's
right?
because also, you know what? Truly, a lot of sucking. And because you don't have the viscosity of the smoke, there's something about that. It fill in your throat.
Where you're like, I'm not getting high, but it's the thing of like, where you're like, you'll hit this and you'll be like, oh, I'm definitely getting high. But there's times where you're like, oh, I'm not getting that high, and then you realize you're just sucking on a thing really hard, and you're not getting high.
And it's mostly air. And then it kind of cools down. It's like, you ever smoke Capris? You know what Capris are?
No.
Pants.
Capris used to be, I remember in Tallahassee, they would, because when we all smoked, they used to run these huge sales on Capris, which were these cigarettes that were like this long.
Or everyone
Yeah,
called them the
this
girl
thin.
cigarettes?
Yeah, they're old lady cigarettes. But we used to get them because they were like $2 a pack. But the whole night would literally just been going, like you are barely getting any smoke out of this. And like that's how I felt every single time, where I'm just like, my lungs are filled with pure, literally just steam and not weed. That's the problem.
Yeah. I couldn't. I tried. There's only been a few times where my dad's walked in on me smoking weed, and now he's a lot more accepting of me smoking weed and stuff.
Well, it's got to be like a step.
Yeah. But he saw me on the volcano, and it was kind of like that was the first time he was just like, and or he looked at me kind of weird, and and then he walked on me doing a dab from my cousin's banger, and I was just like, and he was like, "Want me to heat you up a dab?" My dad was there, and I was like, in my head, I was like, "Yeah, that's fine, fuck it, whatever." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do a dab. I hope you don't." Not weirded out by it. He's like, no, not at all. And then my cousin turned the torch on, and then it's just like, it's just silence, and it's me and my dad looking at each other, and all you hear is,
You guys, you ready to pull this shit?
Yeah.
Speaking over.
And I tell him, I'm like,
flamethrower,
I promise this is just weed. And he just looks at me and he goes, I smoked crack before once, so I kind of know what this is like.
Yeah, and you're
I
like,
was
great, Dad.
Damn it.
And then you could because then I feel like now I'm all freaked out. Now we're gonna do this.
Now
in
I'm
front of
just
you?
high with my dad, and I was just like, no, fuck,
I feel like my dad was a cop, right? So he was always anti-weed. He was one of those that he was like, weed makes you gay, like that style guy. Like he could have used some. Like I feel like he could have been gayer. Honestly, I feel like it would have been nice to have received a hug, a touch.
yeah.
But he basically he was anti it, and now he's sort of like he's kind of understands. But I think the only thing he did appreciate in me was that he's just like there was sometime I came home from college and I had a huge beard and long hair, and he was like, "So you're a real party animal, huh?" And I was just like, "Yeah, Dad. Yeah, I do. I party in college. Yes." And he was just like, "Good." And he was just seemed at least happy for a second. But if he knew it was weed, he'd be all weird. I don't know why. Because it's so funny. Because it's like, you smoke crack, Dad.
Yeah, like, we used to party. I know it was crack. I didn't really think it was something involving tinfoil. But it was definitely just, it was going crazy back in the day. But also, I had cousins who did crazy, crazy drugs. And it's so funny to me growing up now and having the career that we have and all this stuff and the successes, where I'll have aunts or uncles be very like, you're still smoking weed? And I'm just like, I'm trying so hard not to point the finger and look at them. It was like, look at your kids. You know what I mean? Like, they're great, but they're also not smoking weed.
It's hard. We're functional stoners.
Yeah.
We do our lives. Obviously, you know what I mean? You run your shit. You work in like that's marijuana is a big old business. Mm-hmm. Like, it's sad, too, because I'm going to plug Last Prisoner Project, too. If we're talking weed business, because Last Prisoner Project was one of the, working with them has been fucking awesome. Also, opening my eyes to the idea that, we can all work on this shit. Meanwhile, 40,000 people are still in prison.
Over bullshit.
It's over bullshit. And that's really what it is. It's it's bullshit. It's you drink. You know what I mean? My father was way more destructive with booze than I've ever been with weed.
100%.
Weed's kept me homebound.
Yeah.
And that has saved the world.
Weed's paid my bills.
3
Are
nights.
you kidding me?
Yeah, at least. Of this in the last 38 years.
I'll have family members be like, oh, you do mushrooms? And I'm just like, you guys need to do mushrooms. What do you mean I do mushrooms?
I'm going to dose all of you.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of an understanding. It's we're one organism, Mom.
Yeah.
We're all fucking mycelium of the awareness, Mom. But it does work. It would help them.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of it is when you do a lot of mushrooms, it really is turning the mirror onto yourself.
I guess I can't advocate for every single human being because obviously people can't do it. Yeah. But I don't think I would be what I am if it wasn't for experimenting with what I did, especially with mushrooms, LSD, because I also did it in kind of fun, nice environments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was with friends, we did it in nature, did it kind of properly and shit, and it really did make me a better person.
Yeah.
Just to have more empathy and kind of understand more about connections are not always visible. Connections are all we are all connected to the fucking mother energy, to the nothingness of the Kabbalah, but but at the same time, I still go to work, I still have bullshit I have to do. I feel like 100%. You can do both. You can do both, I do my emails.
Yeah. I'm just you don't have to do a lot. You just do a little.
Yeah, and I think it's a good peppering. And then, because I did a lot. There was a year where we just did mushrooms. There was just a lot of mushrooms. It was around. It was because I remember it started because Ben Kissel, and I've told this story many times from last podcast and a lot, but he was on acid and he bought something like $300 worth of mushrooms.
Holy shit, that's a lot of mushrooms.
And he showed up with a Ziploc bag of it. So the entire summer, we just were taking them. And so, but and again, I feel like the mushrooms also tell you when to stop, in a way too, and you just have to listen because it gets wiggity and people get it gets kind of dark.
Yeah,
it's more of an impersonal thing. Everybody at night being real cryptic with each other. And no, you have to no. This is the mushroom saying, hey, why don't we drink some water?
Yeah, let's drink some water. Yeah. I trying to get my dad to do mushrooms a lot more. He has been a little bit, but he'll still occasionally go back to drinking. But it's I know if I got him and a few of key family members do a lot of mushrooms, I feel like they'd fucking stop drinking. Yeah.
I mean, I think that you would at least show them there's a way out. There's other ways to feel because what you want from booze, I think a lot of the times, is that kind of freedom. You're looking for freedom from either your own judgments or from what you think are other people's judgments. And what is nice about psychedelics is that it can bump you back into the alleyway of you can just vibe as yourself. You can really, you don't have to destroy yourself because all you're searching for is that release. You're searching for that freedom. Yep. Which where you got to find it in the fucking, that's why I play, elite level basketball.
Do you play elite level basketball?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not. I'm struggling to sit. I throw some kettlebells around. I do fucking shit.
Oh, that's how high I am. I was just like, bro. Well, because also there is a comedians basketball league. So I was just like, oh, do you hoop?
Oh, fuck, God. No, I did in high school. But no, and not seriously. When all the boys started getting bigger, that was when I stopped playing sports. Because there was like a period around like 13, 14 years old where it was like, I hit my growth spurt at like maybe 3rd, 4th grade. I was like huge. I was a unit in 4th grade. And then turns out that was like the end of it. And then I was this size. And then all the other boys got bigger. And then they got better at sports. And then everybody took it more seriously and shit. And I was just not, because I just wanted to be Goldberg on any team I was on. That's what I thought I served as a function.
Were you a fat kid growing up?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Fat adult. I'm still technically over the line.
Oh, dude, everyone's obese. When I went to the doctor, the guy was like,
They need to change the fucking number.
yeah, dog.
That's on there.
That's on them,
Fucking
dog.
bump that back 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Right, but yeah, you
me
get over.
5.
Come on, but yeah, it's sad, man. I'm still fat. I still have my very, very biggest. I was 46-inch waist, right? But now I'm at a 36.
I'm 36 right now, dog.
But it's just
It's nice.
What size are you in shirts?
Extra large.
Maybe I gotta fucking bump it up. I'm in that stage right now.
Well, I mean, for the longest time, I was a large trying to fit into a medium. And
No,
then
me
finally,
too. And that is a lie, dude.
You gotta let it go, dog.
I have the mediums in a pile right now. I'm gonna go and like, you're all going to the homeless shelter. And as I picked up the pile, and then I realized it's all these shirts that just say like Dr. Finger Pussy, and like it's all either like sketch comedy bullshit or shirts I've made.
Great
or like,
shirts.
But yeah, I was like, am I going to give this to the poor, these poor people who need this stuff? Like, is this what they're going to wear? They're going to walk around with a Dr. Finger Pussy shirt on?
That would be kind of, I'm not going to lie, that would be kind of cool, though, is to drive around LA and you see like 2 or 3 homeless people and they're just rocking your shit.
I mean,
just like, hell yeah.
Look at it.
You got style.
Nice shirt. You know, and then provide nothing else, which is very sad.
Yeah.
That's very sad.
Sorry,
yeah,
I don't know why that made me laugh.
I'm ruining this, man.
Oh, guys, what's the 3rd flavor we're on? It's our last one, right?
Yep.
All right, cool.
This
All
one's
right,
going
this
to be
is
the.
called-
Can you handle one more? You good?
This is called Dr. All right, what is
Hold on.
Is this Dr. Finger Pussy?
This one
Dr.
is
Finger
the,
Pussy, it's got, it's all the way from Neruda, Tennessee.
We'll do green. I don't want to. I haven't put you on anything higher than the normal temperature.
Yeah, what does that mean though? So higher temperatures.
Increase smoke volume, so just more smoke in your lungs, get a little higher.
No, so far so good. I don't feel like I'm panicking.
This one's gonna be the red runts, also from the good homies over Ember Valley. It's gonna be an unknown strawberry strain crossed with runts. So it's gonna be kind of like, I liken it to like eating an entire strawberry because it has kind of that green flavor as well, almost like if you ate the strawberry stem a little bit. But then there's that sweet berry that then has that familiar runts flavor we tasted in the last one, where it's kind of funky and has that candy taste to it as well.
Ooh. That's actually very tasty.
It's wonderful, yeah. But like I said, it has like, it's almost like you got like, you're chopping strawberries and almost just got a little bit too much green in there as well, because you can taste it, and that's just from like the chlorophyll.
Ooh, that's very tasty. That is kind of wild, man.
I'm gonna take a fat nap after this. I crash hard after every episode.
I can't imagine, dude. Because I think people kind of say that on the show, like for last podcast I left, be like, oh, you must get so stoned before you record. It's like, no, man. It's very difficult to improv stoned. It's very hard.
I mean, yeah, it's very, very hard.
I find it hard.
Oh,
I feel
absolutely.
because I smoke weed to smile when I need it and to fucking relax, right? And like watch fucking my horror movies, you know? I'll put on my, watch MILF Manor for 3 hours. Have you watched this yet?
No, what's that?
Oh, man. It's a story. It's so you got MILFs, which are, guess what? That's shit not starting at 43. I was like, damn, wow. I thought that's young range. But it's MILFs on an island, and then they bring a bunch of tight, literal boys. They're like 21 years old, and then they reveal that they're all their sons, and they're all there to cross bang the other moms. Like the other moms and them, there's a dating game between
Is this
all
a
of
real
the women.
show?
It's a real show, yeah.
What's it on?
MILF Manor. It's called. I think it's Discovery Plus.
No.
Discovery Plus is my favorite.
Discovery Plus?
It goes hard.
Bro, Discovery Plus is like, fuck it, we're getting in the game.
They're like, bring up the money truck. We're giving it to the MILFs. These MILFs are a
They're like,
problem.
fuck these whales.
Fuck that shit. They're like, they are
He's
menace,
looking
man.
it up.
It's wild. My sister made it what? These
Oh
women
my
all
God.
look like Kim Jong-un's like guards.
Holy shit.
These are all they're very scary.
That's insane. All right.
But yeah, you should. I actually don't know if I can watch it. I don't know if I can tell you to watch it.
That looks like John Mulaney. Okay, that's crazy.
It's a child. Look at this. Like, what?
All right, you can go in a minute. That's wild, dog. Oh my God, that's so funny. I found my new obsession.
Man, it's kind of hard to take because it really is that. Because my wife Natalie was like, "What if it was reversed? What if it was fathers
Don't
and
be
daughters?"
that guy.
And I was just like, "Oh, great!" And it was like, "Well, men would fight."
Well, because if that was the case, it would be on OnlyFans.
Yes, exactly. highly weaponized.
Yeah, highly weaponized.
No, it is not. Yeah, it's bad, man.
Oh, yeah, that's-
yeah. Discovery Plus because they're ever since Chip and JoJo stopped doing Fixer Upper, that whole world's been in a fucking tailspin, man.
People are talking about
The bottom is not holding, dude.
people forget it's like there was terrible reality TV, right? And
Yeah.
then everyone started paying attention to other things, streaming services, all this stuff. But no one kept an eye on the terrible reality TV and what they've been up to. And let me tell you, it's not good.
No, man, they are out of pocket. You should be watching it so they stop making some of these things. I feel like if people saw what it is, it's all because my wife Natalie runs a show called Someplace Underneath, and it's like she features a lot of this shit. And one of these things she was talking about was like what she calls like parasocial exploitation, which is like based off of the old Duggar shows, like those weird family shows where the whole thing is about I come in mommy 25 times a day. You know, like because that's basically all it's about. It's about making like if it's a show about having 25 children, it is a show about we need to be impressed about how much jism you have filled that poor woman with. Like, and we're all supposed to like, oh, yay. Oh, what a great, oh, fantastic. And there's a whole thing, there's a whole network devoted to it, right?
Yeah.
But now they're doing it on like YouTube and all this kind of shit where they show their like, it's just featuring their families. It's like videos being like, my daughter going to school, but it's like super weird. There's like all these products on top. But it's very strange.
Yeah. The YouTube channel. Who was it was like the Kate Plus 8?
That's where it started.
Yeah, right. So and then it got really creepy. And so like the Mama June stuff, all that like got really weird afterwards.
It was very, very weird. And it's because it's all just exploitation and it doesn't like hold. But yeah, Discovery Plus is just rocking it, dude. They are all over the place. They have so much stuff. They own my entire comedy legacy.
Yeah.
They own Pretty Face now.
Do they?
Yeah, Discovery, the app, like the app. It's weird. The industry is weird right now.
Dude, Paramount owns all of my Roast Battle stuff.
You gotta break in. You gotta get it back. Man. You gotta steal these files, man.
Oh, I talked about the first episode I was on's gone because Chris D'Elia was the judge.
Oh man, can they just take your jokes out? Like you can just take your material, right?
No, just take him out, dog.
Yeah, exactly. Take him out of the fucking thing.
Yeah. Put
Tignataro.
Put Tignataro.
Just throw a green screen up. Just have her shoot all of them, like for the cover the entire season.
Oh,
just actually
CGI, just
add
like
it.
Army of Darkness.
What are we at? Just so I know. 50 minutes. Oh, perfect. Sweet.
Yeah, man. I can yammer for fucking hours.
I love it. That's perfect.
I'm sorry if I'm yelling.
No.
I really don't mean to. It's just natural.
I didn't bring it today, but I wish I did. I had I have a basketball card. I think it's Mark Young, and it's
You got it?
I have it. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, it's only like $7 on Amazon.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's so cool.
Yeah, it's so weird, dude. Like that is like a part of that. Like we talk about it on the last podcast a lot. Synchronicity show up all the time. Like we just did this series on the troubled teen industry.
Oh, So Adam Egget from the Comedy Store?
Yes.
He went to...
He was in wilderness school, right? Was it wilderness or was it Sea-Doo?
No, it was Sea-Doo. He went to Sea-Doo.
It's
crazy.
It's huge. It's a huge thing. It's still happening. It's very scary.
It's very
but as we did the episode, the Agape School, which was one of the big, it was like one of the ones that's still around. Like, that it's like, basically they just live off the fact that private, they keep it private. So they don't take the government subsidies as much anymore. And now they just are like, well, it costs $275,000 for you to send your kid here. And then they just do that. They can just pay it. And then they literally put them in like a weird little prison system. Like it's fucked up. It's private prisons for children. But the Agape School like closed, or now it's kind of shifted ownership. They're like closed. They're changing the name, which they also do quite a bit. And they're moving into something else. But as we put out these episodes, and it's weird how like with the Menendez brothers, like true crime touching into like these pop culture moments is something that is a very strange phenomenon.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
that has been happening throughout human history. As long as we have had like versions of the newspaper and shit, we've been obsessed with true crime, and it all just kind of folds in on itself.
Yeah.
Because you never know when your neighbor is going to turn out to be like, the Santa Clarita like torso stabber. You know what I mean? Like and all of a sudden, now I'm in his story.
Torso stabber.
Like whatever. It's always I always feel like we do like Q&As for Last Pod. And it's awesome, but people do come to the Q&A and they're like, have you ever heard of this San Magenta torso twister? It's like some kind of thing. And everyone's like, no. And it's like, damn, there are millions of serial killers
that we don't even know about. Yeah.
That have just been everywhere, like local operators and shit.
Yeah, dude, it is pretty wild. I got to meet the guy who caught the Night Stalker, the Mexican gentleman. He's the co-host for George Lopez's podcast.
He was like the guys when they chased him in the neighborhood.
No,
chase?
the police officer.
Oh no shit.
What's his name? The main detective.
I don't remember.
I also can't remember.
I remember something. Especially because I'm in the middle of doing like a UFO series. So information goes in, and then UFOs. Information goes in fucking podcast. We could talk as well. It's all day. I've been listening to Jacques Vallée for the last like 7 hours.
Who's Jacques Vallée?
Jacques Vallée is the guy that it was a ufologist that he wrote this book called Passport to Magonia. That is basically outlining the concept that aliens have been with us since we've had consciousness. But they've just been in different shapes. That in other civilizations, in other eras, they would see them as like goblins. They'd see them as werewolf, like the kind of things that fairies, all that kind of stuff. They saw it one way, and that through time we have been alongside this sort of like trickster phenomena. But he calls it a control system. Like, so he basically is saying that he thinks that it's not necessarily nuts and bolts like UFOs. They're not like
course.
just
it's some kind of entity.
It's maybe interdimensional, like it's here and not here. Maybe we do kind of create it with our minds, but then it's real. Like we do create the thing, and then
what was the horror movie where they create a monster with their minds?
Was it the Empty Man?
It was either the Empty Man or
I love the Empty Man.
There might have been a different one, but they're like in a basement and they create. I can't remember what they call it, but it's shit. I can't remember. I'll try to find it and I'll send it to you.
Please.
It might be the Empty Man.
Please send me it.
Yeah, but
honestly,
there's like a totem that they're like focusing their energy into, and then that they're like trying to create this thing, and then they do create it, and it fucking kills them all. I
have one of those weeks where I've watched I try not to all the time because like I'll mainline horror movies for like an entire week, and then I've realized that like I'm high as balls most of the time. And I don't remember any of the plot points, and I don't remember what's happened. And I just remember titles and the flashes of memories every once in a while. And so that's the problem. So like this was one of those weeks where I did that, where I probably watched like 7 horror movies this week, and all plots leave. And then I realized I need to space them out. And I realized I really should wait and space them out because I'm not remembering any of this. I'm not having a moment with any one of these pieces of art. Yeah, it's sad, but yeah, I don't remember.
Are you gonna watch the new Scream? Have you seen that one that's coming out?
I loved the last one too.
Oh yeah, I love the original Screams. In the middle, it kind of got weird, but then I liked what they redid with them.
I'm a franchise person.
Me too. I'm still a franchise guy.
I do like to do it every Halloween. I always choose like for October. I'll choose one of the big, like whatever's got a lot of them, and just watch it all in one go, and watch every one of them, because then you're kind of forced to.
Yeah.
Because like Hellraiser, there's like, I want to say 15 Hellraisers.
There's
something
so
like that.
many fucking Hellraisers.
And it goes so many. Like I loved Fat Hellraiser. He was great. I love New Sexy Lady Hellraiser and the new one. And
Isn't there like a tech Hellraiser they did?
Yes, I want to say they have my favorite, but also I love all I love all Cenobites, and I love Hellraiser 3 because I like the guy with the fucking circular, like you have the CD in his head. And
Did you ever watch Wishmaster?
Wishmaster has been coming up quite a lot in my family.
Did you ever watch Wishmaster? Were you not a big horror guy?
Here and there.
Oh, okay. Wishmaster, I
Like
remember.
Nightmare on Elm Street was like my favorite. That's kind of the ones I really watched.
Those are, to me, that is probably my favorite franchise, besides Phantasm, which I think.
Phantasm's
I
insane.
love Phantasm because they
Killer balls.
It's also the fucking same cast is used for the entire series.
Yeah.
And so, but each one of the movies is only like a year or two apart. So you just watch the main dude just get older, but more young people makeup gets put on to make him look younger. And it's awesome. Like, you're just like watching them struggle me. And he's like, I'm not me. How could I be sick? I'm only 40. I'm only 25 years old. He's like very obviously a 50-year-old man, which is the best.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I watched Suspiria. I've been watching a lot of horror movies. I like to get in stone just watching a good horror movie.
That's what I like. It's what keeps me fun. I do have to take breaks though.
The Leprechaun series. Before we get out of here, so you're rocking the meth syndicate shirt, but the Leprechaun series is also one of the most ridiculous ones because the first two were scary, and then after that they just get hysterical.
He is also a wonderful actor. Warwick Davis somehow makes that he fills Leprechaun out. So in a way, it's like he's too good for the movies. And so watching it now, because like it is one of my favorite franchises, and watch him just like stick it at 110% in each one of those movies, even when he's in the hood, even when he's in
Leprechaun
space,
in the hood is hilarious.
You never actually like he takes you to the
Leprechaun in space was ridiculous.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
But he's just so fun to watch.
Yeah.
He obviously loves it. You know, have you ever seen the pictures of the guy teaching Warwick Davis how to use the bong?
No.
For Leprechaun in the Hood? Because he does the bit with it, like, it's great, but it's like, you know, it's Warwick Davis just like has never seen a bong before. Very funny.
I love it.
He's the best. I would love to. He's like one of those guys I think I'd get like starstruck.
Right? There's
if
few
I met
people that really mean a lot to you, and actors-wise, you meet them and you're like, oh, shit. Before we get out of here, I got to remember this. Do you have a Leo story? Because I remember you met him. Obviously, you shot the movie and stuff.
He's great, right? He was very funny on set. I'm trying to think of what.
Because I have a Leo story at the store. He showed up for, well, I think it was Louis' taping, but he showed up in costume. So he was literally in the booth, and they had him go to the back. They walked him to the back, but he like walked by, said hi to me, and was like, and I was just like, who's this weird old guy, right? Like, why is this weird old guy trying to make eye contact? Like, I was like, what the fuck? And then so he goes around, and then afterwards they told me it was Leo, and I was like, no fucking wonder. Like he loved it because he was just like, you don't know who I am, you don't recognize me.
He does like that. He likes that. He's a very honestly, he could not have been cooler to all of us. I think that I'm trying to think of, well, all right. So we go to Leo's house, right? This is before the movie started. So this is like when I had booked Wolf, I had like, it was like I booked Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell and Wolf of Wall Street in the same month. So it was like, it was a very good month for me, right? I booked it and I did not know, right? So I show up at Wolf, just like a sketch comedian from New York. I've not done anything. And so before we did anything, Leo wants to talk at his apartment. So he made it arrange it for us to go over there. So we had done one or two read throughs, but then he wanted to do something at his place. So it's all right, we're going to go. And I was hung over his balls, right? Because I had done a Murder Fish show the night before. And I just think it's oh, whatever. It's just some guy. I didn't even think about it, right? And then you show up and it's the security takes us all all upstairs, and we go up there, and he had like some injuries, like he was in like some sling and stuff. He's like, "Come on in, buddies. We're getting here. I got sandwiches in here." It was awesome. On his like full spread. It was like, "Oh, look at the sandwiches." And then there was a very uninterested blonde woman who did not want to see any one of us there. But she was on a BlackBerry, and she did not want to see us. She just like, we're like, "Ma'am, I'm sorry," because we're all disgusting. Right, because it is just that crew, right? It's like Barry Rothbard, it's like all these guys.
Yeah.
It's like it's funny as hell.
Barry Rothbard.
And so it's great. And so we go into the apartment, and he's just like, Jordan Belfort's there, and he's like, I want to run you through all the materials and how we did it and train you. So Jordan Belfort's there. DiCaprio comes in, and Jordan Belfort comes around to all of us. He's like, "Have you guys ever seen what $50,000 looks like?" And we're all like, "No." And then he took out this like pile of cash and threw it on the table, and like money went everywhere. And then DiCaprio started popping all these fucking bottles at like 10:30 in the morning. It was incredible. And the whole time I was like, "What the fuck? Like this is the best morning I've ever had in my life." Man, that was fun, man. That was fun. It's gone, dude. It's gone. I'll never get back in that building. He is just, but otherwise it was just kind of funny because I did not understand that like these guys actually lived all that. Like they do all of that shit. And then you're
That's
like,
crazy.
It was cool to experience it.
That's fucking sick. Damn. That's awesome, man. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Just check out Les Podcast on the Left. We are coming back with our live stream show.
Perfect.
We're going to be doing that. It is, I'm not saying, it's like the next couple of weeks. We're going to put out the date for that.
Sick. Dude, thank you so much for coming.
Dude, this is awesome.
Do you have fun?
For getting
Do you
me
enjoy
high
it?
as
Are you high?
balls.
How do you feel? Do you like it? All right, cool. Thank you, JP. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.
Okay.
Oh, that was a blast, dude. That's such a great story.
Yeah, he's great.